Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video. And yes, you read the title, and you know exactly what it is that I'm reviewing. And as I teased in the last review video, this 1980s film, 80s film, etc., I think definitely this was one of the top best and memorable films of the 1980s, and especially seeing as how, this film entirely takes place in, well, Manhattan, and, well, it's in the title, so yeah. And, I've stated this, that I feel as though, like, from this Ghostbusters, the first Ghostbusters film, that is, and as well as Splash, like, weren't they those three movies of 1984 that were the top, best films, to be shot entirely in New York? If you know what I'm trying to say and where I'm going with this, probably. Especially this and Ghostbusters, So, anyways, so that's right. From 1984, I am reviewing the third and final installment in the three Muppet films that Jim Henson himself did, and seeing as how that this Muppet film is celebrating its anniversary. That's right, guys. Finally, at long last, I am reviewing The Muppets Take Manhattan. Yes, The Muppets Take Manhattan. Again, just what a memorable and one of the best films of the 80s. Does that sound right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I gotta say, I remember watching The Muppets Take Manhattan at a very young age. I remember, we got a DVD copy, and it was one of the first Muppet films that I ever watched. It was that and The Muppet Christmas Carol. I think it was both of them because, yeah, they were some of my first Muppet films. Of course, I also watched The Muppet Show and when it came out on DVD. And when it came to watching the Muppet movies, this was one of them. And like I said, not just this one, but also Muppet Christmas Carol. So those being my first two Muppet films. And then, of course, later on, getting to see the other Muppet films, from the Muppet movie, The Great Muppet Caper, Muppet Treasure Island, and, yeah. So, for Muppets Take Manhattan, as I said, this being the last Muppet film that Jim Henson would work on, and, yeah, and also, because after this came out, he and the rest of the Muppet crew would work on a Sesame Street movie, and that being the first and last Sesame Street movie that Jim Henson and most of the, legendary Muppeteers would work on. That, of course, being Follow That Bird. It's nice to see that, that came out a year after this, The Muppets Take Manhattan. Yeah. So, yeah, not to mention, at the time, this was the last Muppet film where Muppet characters from, say, most of the Electric Mayhem members, most notably Dr. Teeth, Janice, yeah, them, and, Ralph and Scooter, they would have big roles, because, well, after Jim Henson and Richard Hunt, sadly passed away, some of their, Muppet characters, as I just mentioned, Dr. Teeth, Janice, Scooter, and Ralph, they would just have they would make silent appearances for a while, up until they did find, new voices, and new Muppeteers to carry on the performance of Jim and Richard's, Muppet characters, yeah. So, again, for me, when I watched this, and, at a young age, I enjoyed it. I, of course, enjoyed it. Okay, so, with that being said, as always, read the description / the story. When Kermit the Frog and friends start a stage act, they decide to take the show from their college town to Broadway. However, once the Muppets wind up in New York City, they have difficulty finding financial support from the production, instead running into cheats like Murray Pulaski, Unable to stage the show, the group splits up, and they all take different jobs around the country, just as Kermit thinks he has finally found a backer. Yeah. An accident gives him amnesia. Okay, so, getting into the film itself, and as of now, because this being the only Muppet film, because we're not really a part of the Disney family, because, from this and two more Muppet films that would come out years later, being distributed by Columbia Pictures, but, most notably TriStar, well, just this one. Because the songs in Muppets Take Manhattan are really good. So the first one, Together Again, that's a good one. And just really awesome opening credits, getting cool helicopter shots of New York and the credits rolling and we hear Jim's voice, but of course that's supposed to be Kermit. Just humming and da-da-dee-da-doo. I love that. That's so good. Just why not? Just improvise and do stuff like that. I mean, I think it's obvious that probably Jim was improvising at that. And then, of course, we come to this college in New York, and, the Muppets, they're graduating from college and also performing their stage production, Merry Melody, no, because Manhattan Melodies, yeah, I almost said Merry Melodies, that's Looney Tunes. Okay, so Manhattan Melodies, I think, yeah, that's about right. Because the crowd at the college, they really got a kick out of it. And, because we have our main Muppet characters of this film, from Kermit, Fozzie, Gonzo, Piggy, Camilla, Ralph, Scooter, and the Electric Mayhem. As we all know, in the Electric Mayhem, Dr. Teeth, Floyd, Janice, Zoot, and of course, everyone's favorite Muppet drummer, Animal. And Kermit going out on stage and thanking everybody, and one college kid in the audience, shouting like, "Well, next time we'll see you on Broadway." And the Muppets backstage, they like the sound of it, but Kermit, he's not so sure. And a funny moment where Animal is chasing a college girl, "Woman!" Oh, Animal. Well, because actually, and before this, like, the previous Muppet film, The Great Muppet Caper, because Animal was acting like that. Rightfully so, because at those, robbers, those 3 female robbers, so, that were, like, sidekicks of Charles Grodin's character. But anyways, so the Muppets convinced Kermit that this sounds like a good idea, getting their show, Manhattan Melodies, to Broadway, and he goes with it, and thus, they graduate, they make their way to the main part of New York City, the Big Apple, and it's pretty funny, because where they stay at are in lockers, and to them, it's not that bad, and thus, they try to find someone big in Hollywood that would produce Broadway shows, and they think they found the perfect guy for this. And thus, one of the first cameos we get in Muppets Take Manhattan, here he is, yeah. They go to Martin Price. Because actually, Martin Price / Murray Platsky, yeah. They first meet with Mr. Price's secretary, which being Gates McFadden, and this is before she would go on to be in Star Trek The Next Generation as Dr. Beverly Crusher. Before she would go on to be in Star Trek, she was doing some acting, but mostly at that time, she was working at Jim Henson's company, and she was a choreographer, and, her most notable work at the Jim Henson company was in the movie Labyrinth, being a choreographer, so yeah, if you know about that. So, nice to see, because at the time, because one of the employees at the Jim Henson Company getting an on-screen appearance and, yeah, playing the part of Mr. Price's secretary, and that being Gates McFadden. Although, I'm not sure, because by this movie, or like when Next Generation happened, like, she went by Gates McFadden, because I think, if I'm correct, Gates McFadden was her stage name or something. I don't know, but anyways, you guys know, and you can let me know and better explain it, but anyways, so, Mr. Price, he's intrigued by this and, wants to know what this Broadway show is like. And, Martin Price / Murray Pulaski, being played by the late legendary character actor Dabney Coleman. Yep, so, Dabney Coleman, because, what can you say about Dabney Coleman? Because, he was good in this. Anything he's in, he's really good in. And his appearance in Muppets Take Manhattan, good, because, he's fascinated by what Kermit and the Muppets are pitching to him. What their Broadway show is going to be like. Dancing and singing, but no gun shooting, because, he questions about that. And even, him saying nobody cares about shootings and Broadway shows, or however he says it. So he's starting to like this idea, and then he starts to smell something. And then just all the Muppets turn to Ralph, and Ralph just going, "Why does everyone always blame dogs?" And then Pulaski's response is, no, what I'm smelling is a hit. A hit, fellas, I'd be happy to produce your show. And it seems like, it didn't take them that long for their show to make it to Broadway. But what happens next is, they start, Price tells them that they'll start rehearsals and such, and in order to get this show to happen, they're going to have to pay for $300, I think, yeah. And to them, they're like, what? Because this is a shock to them. Why that much? But little do they know. And what happens next is, Price's secretary comes in, and she informs him that 2 policemen are out there, and they come in with an old lady, and apparently this old lady told them that, that man, Murray Pulaski, basically stole her money. And even Fozzie's comment, Murray? I thought his name was Martin. Yeah, it's they thought his name was Martin. Because it turns out, he didn't want to, produce and for their show to happen on Broadway. He just wanted the Muppets' money. That's all. So, Murray is this close to going to jail, but out of nowhere, he grabs Camilla, and, that being a threat, and, this was good on Gonzo's part, and how much he loves Camilla, please don't hurt her, take me, whatever you say, pal, grabbing him by the nose. So now he's got both Camilla and Gonzo held hostage, I should say, yeah. And then, of course, Animal stepping in, because, you don't want to mess a Muppet like Animal, and also Miss Piggy, yeah, them being the 2 Muppets you don't want to mess with. And, Animal, going after Murray, and, just him saying, "Bad man!" And I tell you, because, Animal, up top of the door was pretty cool, and just holding Murray by the legs, that was funny. And the music, and the music and score, you can definitely tell, because when watching this movie, God, the feel and vibe of that music, so 80s, I'm just saying. It's just funny, just Murray running through the corridors and so on, and then at one point Camilla's got him by the ear, and eventually, he gives up and such, and now he's going to jail. Of course, they realize, and Fozzie telling Kermit that, he didn't want to produce their show, he just wanted their money. Gonzo and Camilla, they're alright, although Camilla needs mouth-to-mouth, and Gonzo, because according to Gonzo, he saw his life flash before his nose. Yeah, that's understandable. And thus, they continue on trying to get their show on Broadway. And with a montage and with another song number, which is a pretty good one. And you know what? I think this song number, sometimes speaks for us. You can't take no for an answer. Sung by Dr. Teeth. Yeah. So, throughout the montage and with the song number, everybody in New York, big time, Broadway producers and so on, just refusing to, and not interested in producing their show. I mean, what? Is it because they're not humans and they're just, strange creatures, Muppets. I mean, probably so, It's like, give them a chance, for crying out loud. But there was one person that, with glasses, that seemed intrigued, but someone closed the door, so yeah. So yeah, they've pretty much, by this point, they've done all they could, and like, they don't know exactly what to do, and well, because they keep turning to Kermit, and by that point, Kermit just finally snaps, and just him saying, I don't know, how should I know? Why do you always, ask me, huh? Can't you take care of yourselves? We tried and failed. We tried and we failed, and yeah, because they pretty much have. What else can they do? They don't know what else to do, because they tried their best, but yeah, sadly, no luck. And then they go, because they have to get some grub, and they go to this restaurant called Petey's, and that's where, we get the introduction of one of the other human characters, and, one of the main human characters of this Muppet film, Petey himself, being played by the late Louis Zorick, if I'm saying the last name right. And you know what? Petey was a great character in this, and always gave some good advice and wisdom, him saying to Kermit, peoples is peoples, that whole thing, just so good, and he's right. Petey is right on what he said. Peoples is peoples. And the more he talked to Kermit about that, yeah, great advice that he gave to Kermit. And also, in Petey's restaurant, we see that one of the waiters is a rat. And that being Rizzo, yeah, Rizzo is one of the waiters in Petey's, and I think as though, yeah, I mean, aside from Rizzo appearing in The Great Muppet Caper, he didn't have that much in the second Muppet film, that of course being The Great Muppet Caper. In this one, The Muppets Take Manhattan, this is where he definitely shined, and where he went big, being one of the, at the time, big members of the Muppets, So, yeah, so this is where it definitely made him go big time and become one of those Muppet stars. So, yeah, nice to see. And another waiter who arrives at Petey's, well, that being Petey's daughter, which being Jenny, being played by Juliana Donald. I recognize Juliana Donald from a couple of other things, most notably, I don't know how many of you would know this, because, well, since I mentioned Star Trek earlier, she was in something Star Trek, in this, I want to say, PC game, I think, that came out in the 90s, because it had to do with the battle at Wolf 359, and with John Delancey, playing Q in that. So, yeah, she made an appearance in that Star Trek game at the very start of the game. So, and if any of you even know about that. But anyway, so I thought I'd mention it because it's true. So, anyway, so Jenny coming in, and, well, because, Jenny and Kermit interacting, and they seem to connect, and, well, because a friendship begins between them, and Kermit learns from Jenny that, she has a talent fashion and designing clothes and such, yeah. She can also paint some good pictures, as I recall, because what she does later on, helping Kermit, when I get to that. So, they have a bit of a chat and such, and even when Kermit was going to help place he and the rest of the Muppets, orders, and at one point, we do see Miss Piggy overwatching Kermit interacting with Jenny, and, oh boy, because, Miss Piggy starting to suspect, and, and while Kermit is, trying to place orders, well, the other Muppets are over-talking, I want to say, basically on what they're gonna do, because, well, they plan on, disembarking and going their separate ways for a while. And, I mean, it's not to say that they did this intentionally. I mean, they still had faith and such in this Broadway show that Kermit would try to get out there. But just for right now, they just had to be away and to get out there and such, you know. And when the time came, whenever Kermit would get the show to Broadway, they would, of course, come back. Yeah, they would come back together. And so, yeah, Kermit coming back to the table, and, well, because the Muppets give Kermit news that, well, they got job offerings, and, you know, Miss Piggy, like, she hates to, you know, do the same thing. And Animal, you know, at one point saying, "We go bye-bye?" And again, as I said, you know, that, you know, they still have faith and know that the show could possibly get to Broadway. And they do mention to Kermit that they'll write to him. Yeah. And the next song number, which is a sad one, and, you know, sad and emotional, you know, it's the same. Saying Goodbye. Yeah, that was pretty sad, because the Muppets going their separate ways, and, yeah, so, and Kermit, well, because he's all alone now, still in New York, and, you know, still, what's he gonna do? But, you know, at one point when he gets up to the Empire State Building, I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's when he realizes that, you know, and says to himself, I'm gonna get them back. And, you know, we're gonna get this show on Broadway. You hear me, New York? I'm still here. The frog is staying, and so on. And then we see a figure, a little glimpse of a figure, looking up at the Empire State Building. And who could that possibly be? Well, for me, I know, and if any of you know, because, yeah. So what Kermit does next is, the next day, he asks Petey if he can temporarily help and work in his restaurant. So, but not only is it Kermit, but Rizzo asks if other fellow rats of his can also work at his restaurant. And, you know, especially because Petey needed extra hands, because mostly it's just him, his daughter, and Rizzo. So gonna need more hands for this. And thus he gives in, and, you know, he lets them do the work and such in the restaurant. Even at one point, because Petey was like, you know, a frog and rats, what's next? Penguins? And out of nowhere, penguins come in and, you know, do you have any job offerings? And Petey, Kermit, and the rats, you know, all of them going, no! And the penguin, you know, saying, well, excuse us. Yeah, that's pretty funny. And all of the rats, because, yeah, they have names, but, I don't know, because I'm not seeing them. Oh, yeah, okay, here we go. Yeah, so there's Yolanda, if I'm saying that right, Yolanda, there's Tatooine, there's Masterson, yeah, so those are the three rats. I think there was one more, I'm pretty sure, but yeah, I'm not seeing. Maybe it was just three rats. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I would know if I would see another rat, you know, because with the word rat in there, but no. So okay, you know, especially because one of them, like, the eyes popping out, is pretty funny. So even the female rat, which, by the way, because Yolanda, if I'm saying that right, being voiced and Muppeteered by Karen Prell, if I'm saying that right, she would be best known for being the voice and Muppeteer of Red in Fraggle Rock. I think I did get that name right, I'm pretty sure, and you know who I'm talking about. So, anyways, and yeah, because the female rat, because at times Rizzo trying to make a move on Yolanda, it's pretty funny. So okay, yeah, so thus, Kermit and more rats working at Petey's, and while Kermit, well, the many attempts for him trying to get to get Manhattan Melodies out there on Broadway. Because at one point he asks Jenny to make him a piece of wardrobe, because just to go along with how everybody else is in New York. If you can't beat them, join them. And just him acting, just like, hey, how you doing? Oh, you should read this script and such. It's pretty funny. Just him in like this pink clothing and this like small like afro and with shades. It's funny. And because where he goes to give someone the script, that being a cameo from John Landis playing Leonard Winesoap. I think if I'm saying that right. John Landis making a cameo in this, and Kermit just coming in, and just nobody is talking because it's not just Leonard but two other guys in the same office, and Kermit just coming in and talking about this script and such and so on, and he left the script for Manhattan Melodies, but what Leonard did next? Threw it in the garbage can. Yeah, that obviously didn't work. And then Kermit meeting up with Jenny, and Kermit passing by Stadler and Waldorf sun tanning. Yeah, that was funny. But that's not the first and last time we see Stadler and Waldorf. So unfortunately, Plan A, I want to say. I don't think the movie even establishes that, and nor does Kermit say that. Like, his first attempt that we saw, and with, John Landis's cameo, sadly didn't work, and, because, Jenny and Kermit talking a little, and Kermit, saying to Jenny that, he thinks she'll make a good career out of herself, with her clothing and fashion designing and so on. Yeah. And little do they know, and, because one Muppet stayed behind. Well, she got on a train, but apparently I think it's obvious that she took a train back to Manhattan. That being Miss Piggy. Yeah, she stayed behind in New York. And, because, how much she loves Kermit and how loyal she is to Kermit. And her just overly jealous between him and Jenny. Just her spying on them, and even at one point, because construction guys are hitting on Piggy, and when she sees that they're going for the Huggies, as she calls it, just her grabbing on this, steeled wire and such, and just pounding it, on like a dumpster can or whatever. It's funny. And then she looks at the clock, she's late, and, she's got a job, doing perfume and such at the store, and, she is working alongside with the perfume saleswoman, and another cameo appearance, the late Joanne Rivers. Yeah, the chemistry between Joanne Rivers and Piggy is so funny. And especially one of the other times that Joanne Rivers and Piggy would interact with each other, they were arguing, and at one point Piggy did a bit of karate on her and accidentally got Joanne her face into a cake. If you've seen that, it's pretty funny. So the perfume saleswoman helping out Piggy, because, Piggy talking about, Kermit and so on, and, Joanne Rivers' character, making Piggy all dolled up and such, and it just gets rambunctious and too out of hand. And, their boss coming over, and just, all he can say to them is, "You are fired," and even they still laugh and such. And then coming back to Petey's, by this point, Petey is, taking care of, say, the dishes and so on, because apparently a customer complained about the rats being waiters, so now the rats are working in the kitchen, and a little cool, rhythm, music number or something, by the Pans and so on, and Rizzo, going, but there is a name to it, but I can't remember it. If I remember to do so, and if there is a name of it, I'll put a text, yeah, because it's pretty good. It's a shame, because I don't think it even made it to the soundtrack. Why not? It technically is a little song number or whatever, one of those, and it's pretty funny, of course, and really impressive, because sometimes them doing animatronics for the Muppets, and of course with the rats, like, spinning around and so on. It's really good. And well, because Kermit, because he hasn't heard from his friends yet. He hasn't received any letters, but eventually he does. Petey informs Kermit, and the first letters he receives are from Scooter, the Electric Mayhem, and Fozzie Bear. Scooter is working at a movie theater, and we see at the movie theater, well, the Swedish Chef is there, and New Zealand. And apparently, because there's a showing of this movie in 3D, like Attack of the Fishes or something, and New Zealand going in, and he had seen that movie, I think, about 98 times or something, like, golly, because, like, that's something, seen it that much. Well, there's no doubt about it, because I know that there's been some people that have seen, like, movies a dozen times. Like, I recall this one guy had seen Captain Marvel a lot of times. I remember that very well. Anyway, so New Zealand, he doesn't need 3D glasses. What he's gonna do is, because he basically is a boomerang fish, an act. His act is his act with boomerang fish, and so basically, throwing the boomerang fish, and they come back and, like, hitting straight at the audience, and, well, the audience, they get a kick out of it. So yeah, really impressive on the 3D effects. And then, well, because for the Electric Mayhem and for Fozzie Bear, well, Fozzie Bear, unfortunately, Fozzie's job didn't go so well, obviously, having to do something with comedic stand-up, and that didn't go so well. So now, Fozzie decided to go into hibernation, and Fozzie being in this cave with a bunch of other bears, and him, like, snuggling with a female bear, like, it's funny. And because, like, the female bear, like, snuggles with Fozzie, because her having trouble to get sleep, and yeah, and Fozzie just going, Kermit, just calling out for Kermit. He doesn't like this. He wants to be back with Kermit. And for the Electric Mayhem, well, they got a gig in Pittsburgh, obviously, since they're a band, and like, Irish stuff or something, if I'm right. Like, you know what it is, and so on. And if I did get it right or not, let me know in the comments section. I'm sorry. But, yeah, so the Electric Mayhem seemed to be doing pretty good, as well as Scooter. And Fozzie, well, not really, just poor Fozzie. So those are the first 3 letters that Kermit received, but he still hasn't heard from, Gonzo, Ralph, and most notably, Piggy. But still, little does he realize and know that Piggy is still in New York and is spying on him. And once again, because, well, out of a window, because at another building, we see Miss Piggy, looking through binoculars through the blinds. And once again, Kermit and Jenny go for the huggies, and Piggy going on a rampage. And because they've been hearing that at times, and, at times from, like, Jenny and Rizzo saying, it's just New York. Yeah, basically. So, Kermit is planning to, do something else in order to try to get Manhattan Melodies out on Broadway. His next plan, well, because it involves not just him, but Jenny, as well as the rats, especially the rats. Kermit asking Jenny to draw a picture of him, while what the rats are gonna do is, well, because they're gonna go in this restaurant. I know there's a name to this restaurant, and which being in New York, and, well, in that restaurant, because there's paintings of celebrities. You know what I'm talking about, and you know that restaurant. So them going in, and Kermit, dressed up as this, big time, producer of Broadway and so on, and basically, going in, and, well, nobody is paying attention to him, even, like, when he's, interacting with them, how do you do, and stuff like that. And he's got, like, the getup that he has on, like, a fancy hat and wardrobe, and like, a mustache, that kind of mustache, that's funny. And basically, yeah, it's a picture of him in that getup, and he has the rats go under the tables and start making conversations. Hey, did you hear? It's the big-time producer of Broadway. He's going to produce Manhattan Melodies. And Kermit putting up the portrait of him. He swapped it with a portrait of Liza Minnelli. And yeah, sure enough, because Liza Minnelli, steps in, and yeah, because we get a cameo appearance of Liza Minnelli. And well, because it's working, like the rats, making conversations and getting everybody to notice Kermit and just, yeah. But unfortunately, because the rats couldn't help themselves because the food smelled good, them getting out of the tables, and everybody just panics. All hell breaks loose. Even, like, before that, Liza Minnelli did realize, well, her painting was swapped, and yeah. And also, one of the, customers in the restaurant, and which one of them, slapped a menu on one of the rats, that's actually, Richard Hunt's mother. Yeah, nice to see that his mommy made a cameo in something of the Muppets. Even some of the other Muppeteers, they made cameos in some of the Muppet films. And nice to see, because the Muppeteers, because of them doing the Muppets, they get to actually appear on screen. In The Great Muppet Caper, we saw, Richard Hunt, Jim Henson, and Jerry Nelson. And another Muppeteer whom we see in The Muppets Take Manhattan until I get to him. So, unfortunately, Kermit's plan on, what to do in the restaurant failed, of course. And then we come to, I think, Central Park? I'm pretty sure, yeah. And Kermit meeting up with Jenny, and, well, unfortunately, because the plan didn't work, and Jenny, because, well, nice to see, because Jenny, she doesn't doubt that, Kermit will get his show out to Broadway. And once again, Miss Piggy's spying, and then what happens next? They start to do jogging, and for Piggy, she's like, oh no, not jogging, and her just, trying to catch up to Kermit and Jenny. And fun fact, because, when they were filming at the park in New York, because at one point, they had to delay filming for just a little bit because, having issues and trouble with one of the cameras. At one point, and while they were trying to fix one of the cameras, a little boy approached Kermit and started interacting with Kermit. And, well, Jim Henson, as Kermit, interacting back at the little boy. And then, sure enough, this drawed a crowd of kids. And Jim Henson, as Kermit, putting on a show for them. And according to Juliana Donald, as Jenny, she stated that her witnessing what was happening with Kermit interacting with the kids and such was a magical moment. And yeah, she's right, because that was a magical moment with what she described and with what I read. Yeah, if only that was filmed if there was any footage of that, that'd be amazing. Behind the scenes, why not? That would have been great. But just from what was reported and with the fun fact and the trivia and such, with it being on text, yeah, we know for a fact, even though because it was never shot. We know for the fact, because for it being described, yeah, that being a, wholesome and magical moment right there. So, and it's amazing because, even to this day, kids have no problem. They don't care, by seeing the Muppeteers with the Muppets, them operating them. They don't care. That's amazing. I wonder if, probably that was a surprise to Jim and his fellow Muppeteers. Wow, because, the kids they're not distraught by us with the Muppets, Yeah, so that's amazing. So, okay, getting back to the film, because, them jogging and such. Piggy, she can't take it. She's really exhausted, because, well, I think it's obvious, jogging is just not her thing, unfortunately. holding onto a pole. She accidentally got her hand stuck in gum. And then this one guy approaching and basically stole her purse. And that guy who played the thief, stealing Piggy's purse, he's actually a stuntman. And still, he's still to this day doing stunt work. In fact, one of the last films where he had done stunt work, latest works and such doing stunt work was in the Joker film, Walking Phoenix. Yeah, if you've seen that and if you look that up, and I wish I could remember the stuntman's name. If I remember to do so, I'll put a text. Yeah, his name. So he plays the part. It's nice to see that he got a part in this. That's nice for some stuntman, playing roles and such. And you know what? They can still do stunt work, obviously. So, yeah, and that sequence where Piggy borrows skates, excuse me, may I borrow your skates? And then, of course, she just starts shouting. And this was the first time for me I got to see Piggy with angry eyes. Because at times, and it's really cool because there are times where they can change facial expressions with Piggy. Just her eyes. It's amazing. Like in the Muppet movie, her eyes just pop. Just how furious she is, if you remember that. But most notably, yeah, she has an angry face with angry eyes. so her, just chasing the guy who stole her purse. And then, then of course, Kermit and Jenny, they realize and they recognize that screaming, and it's Piggy. And, Piggy, as Kermit says. And eventually, and to speed things up, yeah, Piggy getting her purse back, even a policeman coming in, and, what's all the fuss and such? And I love it, because, the guy saying, she's got my purse, and Piggy, what? Yeah, nice try, buddy. And, yeah, because, he's gonna fall, the policeman's gonna fall for that. What's he thinking? And then two ladies coming in, and very nice of them. Yeah, I can even see one of their facial expressions, is that man for real? It's true. So yeah. Anyways, so then of course, Kermit reunited with Piggy, but Piggy, she's not saying anything to Jenny, and Jenny getting back to her father's restaurant, and, she's nice enough to say to Piggy that, I'm glad you're not hurt. Well, yeah, so, besides, Piggy can handle herself. She can manage herself not getting injured and such. Seriously. She's one tough pig. And again, one of those Muppets you don't want to mess with. Oh, yeah. So Piggy expressing and telling Kermit that, and Kermit realizing that, Piggy had been spying on Kermit most of the time, because of him and Jenny. So as Kermit and Piggy are about to start to argue, then steps in the roller skater, and that's what he's credited as. That's the name of the character. And the roller skater being played by, and another cameo we get, the late Gregory Hines. Yes, the late Gregory Hines plays the roller skater, because as I mentioned, Piggy asking the roller skater if she could borrow his skates, yeah. And wanting to get the skates back, and because he kind of gets in on this, because, between Kermit and Piggy arguing and, about Jenny, and, because Kermit addressing Piggy, and of course it's true that, because, they're just friends, and, friends hug each other, that's what they do, and, just being completely jealous, and, the roller skater at one point, just giving Piggy the huggies, because how upset Piggy is over the huggies, and the roller skater saying to Kermit, see what the huggies could get to you, or something like that, and then Kermit, because he's very upset over Piggy, and because about, her spying and such, and Piggy in response, I spy because I care! Well, I care too! Why didn't you say so? I just did! The roller skater getting him to calm down, and then, him telling Piggy, keep the skates. I just like to run in boxer shorts and such. Okay, so, I guess maybe the roller skates can come in handy for Piggy. And then at one point, Kermit stops, a carriage, person, and I think that that carriage wrangler, controlling the carriage and the horse. I think, yeah, that's supposed to be Jim Henson, because he makes a cameo, even though you really don't get a good shot of his face, but I mean, because he has a beard, I mean, that's supposed to be Jim. So, yeah, he and Piggy going for a ride in a carriage through the park. At one point, they passed by Stadler and Waldorf, and, them being hecklers, of course, and their comment on seeing a frog and pig, pretty funny, so, and their iconic laughs, oh, ho, 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 ho. And then Piggy, she apologizes to Kermit, she's sorry that she yelled at him, and it's not like, she did it intentionally, it's just that she was upset, that's all. And then she, says to Kermit, like, imagine if they had met at a younger age. And then the highlight of this movie, the Muppet Babies. Yeah. And the next song number we get, Mama, da-da, woo-woo, chihuahua. I think that is the name of the song, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, just seeing the some of the Muppets as Muppet Babies, from Piggy, Kermit, Fozzie, Ralph, Scooter, and Gonzo, pretty cool. And you know what? Because a couple months, I should say, after The Muppets Take Manhattan came out, we would get a cartoon of the Muppet Babies, and yeah, because I'm pretty sure as though that the Muppet Babies cartoon show was definitely one of the top gems of the 80s. Like, those cartoon shows of the 80s, yeah, something about them just, yeah. Anyways, so the Muppet Baby sequence, it's okay. It is what it is. I mean, it's not really one of my favorites of the Muppets Take Manhattan, but it's okay. And after the song numbers finish, because Miss Piggy on Kermit's lap, and the ride is over, and then they go to Petey's, and Piggy getting a job at Petey's, but she's still refusing to talk to Jenny. Then at one point, Kermit receives two more letters, this time from Gonzo and Ralph. For Gonzo, well, he found himself a job like, water skiing, but of course doesn't go well, as you would expect from Gonzo. Poor Gonzo. He tries his best, there's no doubt about it, but, it's like, he seemed to find more success when he went into the toilet business, like what we, because of what we saw in the 2011 Muppet film. Yeah, so he seems to be definitely good at that. Anyways, and as for Ralph, well, he basically is working, looking after dogs at this, like, dog shelter or something. And the next cameo we get in this Muppet film, I should say, Mr. Skeffington, I think I said that right, being played by the late James Coco. Yeah, James Coco, making an appearance in this. Did he or did he not appear in The Muppet Show? I forget, but anyways, so bringing in his dog, I know because Mr. Skeffington's dog has a name, but I can't remember. And if I remember to do so, I'll put the name of the dog in a text. Anyways, and just the interactions between Mr. Skeffington and Ralph. Well, Mr. Skeffington treating Ralph like a dog, of course, and just telling Ralph to shake hands and to sit and stay. Just and Ralph interacting with all the other dogs, most of them being Muppets pretty much, and because they start to howl and cry because they want to go home, and Ralph joining in, me too, oh, that's funny. And then another letter that Kermit received. It wasn't just those two from his two other Muppet friends, but one letter in particular, someone who is interested in producing his show, and that being Mr. Crawford, Bernard Crawford. And of course, they're excited to hear about this, especially Kermit. And, Kermit giving a hug and a kiss on the cheek to Jenny, but he's unable to do so for Piggy because, she's still upset. But boy, would she regret not getting that from Kermit, because what would happen next? And until I get to that, And even like at one point, because when he was right about to head out of the door of the restaurant, a cop, popping up, and another cameo we get, Elliot Gould, yeah, he plays the cop, stepping into the restaurant, and Kermit accidentally bumped into him, and sorry, I've got to go meet someone because I'm gonna kill him, or how Kermit says it, and the cop's like, nah, because I think the cop would get what Kermit meant by that. So yeah. So Kermit, he arrives at Mr. Crawford's office, and then we see, supposedly it could be Bernard Crawford, and then it turns out that whom it was that sent that letter to Kermit, because expressing interest in producing Kermit's show and putting it on Broadway, well, it is someone by the name Crawford, but it's the son of Bernard Crawford, Ronnie Crawford, being played by Lonnie Price. And technically he's another one of those main human characters of this film. Even though, because we did see him very early on in the film in that montage sequence, and with the song number "You Can't Take No for an Answer," we did see him. So, because he did seem intrigued by them. So, and then of course later on, because he sent out a letter to Kermit. So yeah, again, Ronnie is the son of Bernard Crawford because he wants to take a shot at it. He wants to produce a show of his own, to get it out on Broadway, because, trying to convince his daddy, which of course being Bernard Crawford, and Bernard Crawford being played by the late legendary Art Carney. Yeah, Art Carney being in a Muppets film. And, well, it takes a little bit of convincing for both Ronnie and Kermit to, Mr. Bernard Crawford. And Kermit, of course, explaining to Bernard Crawford what the show is like, Manhattan Melodies, and, about two kids who come to New York and get married, and, it goes like, look at me, here I am, blah, blah, blah. And Bernard Crawford telling him to stop because he's allergic to amphibians singing. Bernard. And, Ronnie, he's very insistent to his dad that he wants to do this. And eventually, Bernard gives in, and he thinks at first that it might not work, but still, just, take a shot at it. Because he thinks that it might not succeed, but still, go, have at it. So, at that moment, and as of now, Kermit can finally get his show to Broadway. So then, Kermit, phone calling Jenny and Miss Piggy at Petey's to let them know that the Broadway show is a go. And, because after, they get off the phones, Kermit, he's singing together again, and, because, not only is the show going to be on Broadway, but everybody's going to come back together. And, because, again, Kermit crossing the road, but he didn't pay attention. I mean, not intentionally. Because, the lights change, don't walk. And when things were looking good for Kermit, out of nowhere, he gets hit by a taxi cab. Ugh. One of those things in some movies, everything's looking good, and then the next thing, just, oh, geez, But, of course, sometimes in movies, eventually, happy endings and so on. And of course in this Muppet film. So, yeah, so unfortunately Kermit getting hit by a taxi cab, and, there's been no sign of Kermit. He hadn't returned to Petey's, and, of course, they're starting to worry. Then Ronnie coming in, and, of course, he's informed that, Kermit is missing, and, of course, Ronnie is worried too. And thus, Jenny, Ronnie, and Piggy, they go out to try and find Kermit, while Petey remains in the restaurant, and, because it's up to Petey to send out letters to the entire Muppet gang that, now they can come back together and the show is going to be on Broadway. And so, yeah, we get a little montage on the Muppets receiving letters. And also, it's not just them that are coming to New York, but all the other Muppets that they've met and such, like from the Bears in that cave that Fozzie met, those that were at the movie theater from The Swedish Chef and New Zealand, they're tagging along with Scooter. With the Electric Mayhem, I think, it's Beaker, Dr. Bunsen Honeydew, as well as Beauregard, and of course Gonzo and Camilla and all the other chickens. So, yep, they're all going to Broadway. Going to New York and to be on Broadway. And then we come back to Kermit, who's in the hospital, and Kermit meeting with his doctor, and literally, because she's credited as Kermit's doctor. Another cameo appearance that we get, Linda Lavin. Yeah, Linda Lavin. And Linda Lavin, yeah, I'm wondering, because, did she or did she not appear in The Muppet Show? I don't think so. I don't know, because I feel as though she could have. But anyways, so Kermit's doctor, checking on Kermit, and, well, because they've checked him, and there's no ID, there's no information on who he is and such. And it turns out Kermit, and as I read in the description / the story, Kermit has amnesia. If that just doesn't make things even worse. And he has no memory on who he is. And thus, well, basically Kermit's doctor gives him a name and so on. And, well, because all that the hospital can do is just, give him clothes and to send him off. And, well, it'll be up to him to find a job and such. So, yeah, now he's in this suit and wearing a hat. And then at one point he meets with these 3 frogs named Bill the Frog, Gil the Frog, and also there's a female frog, which being there she is, Jill the Frog. And yeah, because Gil the Frog was voiced and Muppeteered by by Steve Whitmire, and Bill the Frog, Dave Goelz. And as for Jill the Frog, well, she was Muppeteered and voiced by another Muppeteer, of course, Catherine Mullen. Yeah, Catherine Mullen, because, yeah, she had been part of the Muppets for quite a while, and since the Muppet Show. And she, not only did she do Jill the Frog, but she also did one of the chickens. So, he meets with Gil, Bill, and Jill, and they're trying to, try to do this, product or something. I think about, some lotion or soap or something, and, well, because Kermit, because he can't remember who he is, trying to come up with a name for himself. I think, Phil the Frog. So, he joins in with the 3 frogs and helping them out with a catchy title to this product they're doing, which being, as, and thanks to Phil, Ocean Breeze. Yeah, Ocean Breeze. Again, I think it's some kind of soap or something. I'm pretty sure, yeah. And, well, because it seems that's making good business and such, Ocean Breeze. And, well, because by that point, and at Petey's, the entire Muppet gang is back together, and Piggy trying to get their attention, and by whistling, Janice is still talking, and she's talking directly to Gonzo. Look, buddy, I don't take my clothes off for anyone. And that's just like in The Great Muppet Caper, when Kermit is trying to get everybody's attention and to get them to be quiet, and Janice is still talking, and Janice going on about being, naked and taking clothes off, what, girl, what are you thinking? Even Piggy, just Janice. Anyways, so, yeah, they tell the rest of the Muppets that Kermit is missing, and, well, because, they have to find Kermit. But the thing is, they only have 2 weeks. 2 weeks for everything to be ready. The sets, the costumes, everything. Not only that, but they have to find Kermit. He's the biggest missing part of the Broadway show, Manhattan Melodies. And this was I love this because, well, the Muppets have no clue who Ronnie and Jenny are. And, Fozzie asking, hey, who's he? Jenny saying, he's Ronnie Crawford, who's helping, produce this show. And Ralph asking, who is she? And Piggy saying, that's Jenny. She's Kermit's friend. And mine. Yeah, she finally gives in, accepting that Jenny is a good friend to Kermit, and now to her. Yeah, good on Piggy's part. And Ralph then saying, well, what are we waiting for? We've got to find Kermit. And thus, they head out to find Kermit, and I like that scene, because, all of them trying to find Kermit, and while we cut to, at times, Kermit with the three frogs advertising Ocean Breeze, and in one scene where they're promoting and advertising Ocean Breeze, this table of, businessmen, one of them being Frank Oz, because he makes a cameo in this. And fun fact about Frank Oz, because Muppets Take Manhattan, it was his directorial debut, officially, because Frank Oz technically co-directed with Jim Henson on The Dark Crystal, and best said by Frank Oz, he asked Jim, why do you want me to direct this? Because, and he, referring to The Dark Crystal, and in response, Jim told Frank, because it would make it better, however, from Frank and Jim, how it was said, and yeah, that was nice on Jim, and you know what? Because how Dark Crystal turned out, pretty good, and it's thanks to both Jim and Frank, because, they co-directed it. And, this time, when it came to The Muppets Take Manhattan, Jim wanted Frank to take charge of it and to direct it. And after directing The Muppets Take Manhattan, Frank Oz would find himself having quite a good, successful career as a director, and I think we all know what would come next for Frank Oz, most notably, another musical he would direct, Little Shop of Horrors. Also, one thing I forgot to mention, right before Kermit, had just received those 3 letters, and because Piggy, she got a job at Petey's, and she was, waiting on Brooke Shields. Yeah, Brooke Shields making a cameo in Muppets Take Manhattan. She's credited as customer in Petey's, and Miss Piggy, as I just said, waiting on her, but then of course Kermit, shouting at Piggy because of receiving, letters, and, telling Brooke Shields that, she'll be right back and such, and one of the rats, as I mentioned, with, his eyes popping, apparently because he has an attraction for Brooke Shields, and, asking Brooke out on a date or something, if she's dated other, rats or something, and Brooke kind of flirting with the rat, and the rat faints on the table. It's pretty funny. And, Brooke Shields, her appearing at a good chunk of Muppet stuff. There was this, and her being a guest star in an episode of The Muppet Show, where she and the Muppets did a reenactment of, Alice in Wonderland, and she would also be one of the guest stars in The Muppet Show Live that happened in December of 2001. Okay, so getting back on track, because, the sequence where they're trying to look for Kermit, and we see, because, Bill and the other, Kermit as Phil, and the other 3 frogs, Bill, Gil, and Jill, having a success of their own with Ocean Breeze. Again, a pretty good sequence, and, the music is good in this, too, and especially, when it comes to shots with Kermit and such, and, funny moments that happen in that sequence, Piggy shouting, and gets this gets the attention of this couple in a carriage. They stare at Piggy, and Piggy just a little bit embarrassed, and Gonzo asking and getting help from the mayor, but not that good, because doesn't get any help from the mayor, because Gonzo addressing to the mayor that trying to look for a frog that can dance and sing, and the mayor's response is, if he can blah blah blah, I'll hire him, and no luck on that, but at least Gonzo tried. So again, that was a pretty good sequence, and unfortunately, because it's close to showtime, because by this point the show will be starting in a couple of hours, and everybody at Petey's, because they're upset and they just had no luck trying to find Kermit, and they think at first that maybe they should cancel the show, but no, because I think Fozzie addresses this, that, Kermit would want the show to continue, because Kermit depended on this show getting, he depended on this. He was trying so hard to get it to be on Broadway, and finally he succeeded. So of course there's no way that they're not gonna let that happen, for it to be canceled, because Kermit would want it to continue. But sure enough, and luckily, because the Four Frogs, and Kermit, of course, stopping by at Petey's, and they just happened to pass by they just happened to pass by Ronnie, Jenny, and the Muppets, and if only someone had looked and had seen Kermit walk by, just, and then we see Kermit as Phil starting to, use a spoon and tap on glasses of water, and basically he's playing the tune Together Again, and I think, Fozzie and Dr. Teeth, they start humming and singing a little bit because they know that tune, and they're like, wait a second, what's going on? Could it be? And they look over and they can see Bill, Gil, and Jill, Phil's Kermit, and, just a couple of frogs, and then Gonzo looking over, and he can see Kermit, and Gonzo's facial expressions, no, it's Kermit! And everybody is happy to see Kermit, but to them, because, it's unfortunate because, sadly, Kermit doesn't recognize them because of his amnesia. And did they ever figure out and realize that he had amnesia? Maybe they did because, well, they can tell that Kermit was not fooling around. Like, this was serious. Yeah, he wasn't joking around. Like, yeah, he wasn't joking around like, he didn't recognize them. Yeah. And, well, because they get him to Manhattan Melodies, to the Broadway show, the theater, the stage and such, and, well, everything's ready to go, but, still, they're trying to get Kermit to remember who he is and know who they are, and, well, because, even Piggy turning to Kermit and, telling him that, those are your friends and, you want us to get married, referring to her and Kermit. And then Kermit, as Phil, thinks it's funny and he just starts cracking up at it. And, a frog married to a pig? Oh, man, you probably wouldn't be expecting kids to say suey, suey, just, going suey and oink, oink. And Piggy just then, says, cancel the show, and does karate on him, hi-ya! And apparently that gets him to wake up and, for the amnesia to go away and such, to regain consciousness, remembering who he is. And yeah, he's like, it comes back to him, he's back to his old Kermit self. He recognizes Piggy and all the other Muppets. And yeah, everything's now good for Kermit. But Kermit, he feels that, everything's not ready yet, but they assure him that, yeah, everything's good now. And then Kermit's starting to sing, look at me, here I am, right where I belong. Because, do you remember the song, Kermit? And he, and then he starts singing it. And, well, they're about to go on stage, but then Fozzie points out to Kermit, hey, Kermit, can our friends watch the show backstage? And then it dawns on Kermit. He realizes one more thing that was missing. And then Kermit saying, no, they cannot watch the show from backstage. That's it. That's what we've been missing. We need more frogs, dogs, chickens, and whatever. You're not going to be in the show. I'm sorry. You're not going to watch the show. You're going to be in the show. I'm also talking fast, so I gotta slow down. Yeah, so that's one last thing that's been missing. For Manhattan Melodies, more Muppets, more dogs, frogs, chickens, and whatever. Yep, not gonna watch the show, they're gonna be in the show. And nice to see, I guess it didn't take all the other Muppets that long to know exactly what to do in Manhattan Melodies. They just go along and so on. And, well, thus the show proceeding. Also, almost forgot to mention, because Stadler and Waldorf, they did get tickets for the show, and apparently because Waldorf making a joke that, about the tickets they got, for the next train. It's funny. And if you look closely, you will catch them in one of those theater boxes. Of course they would be in a theater box. It wouldn't be the same if they weren't in a theater box. Come on. That's what makes them Stadler and Waldorf, and where they would be at a show, especially a Muppet show. Anyways, so yeah, the show proceeding, and then coming up to somebody's getting married, and who could that possibly be? And I don't know, because maybe, I wonder, if it's obvious for anybody who would watch this the first time to know who exactly is getting married. Well, and that being Kermit and Miss Piggy. Yep, because, at one point, putting the finishing touch on the cake, the figures of Kermit and Piggy on top of the cake, that whole thing. And then, coming to this church, and inside the church, well, because a bunch of Muppets in there, most notably the Sesame Street Muppets. And this was the third and last time in a Muppets film we would have the Sesame Street Muppets appear in a Muppets film. Yeah. Of course, you have, Ernie, Bert, Cookie Monster, Count Von Count, Sherlock, I'm having trouble saying his name. Yeah, I did see him there. Harry Monster, Big Bird, obviously, Biff and Sully, yeah, they're there, and a couple of others. And obviously Oscar being there, and some of the honkers. Did I see Grover in there as well? Maybe. And maybe Mumford, the magician, and some of the other Muppets, like Sam the Eagle, the Muppet Newsflash Muppet, Crazy Harry and Pops, and they're just wondering if, some of them are wondering if they've made it, or did they miss it? Are they late? And can they start without them? And no, because they can't until they're here. And the Penguins singing, they're finally getting married, and, thus Kermit and Piggy stepping in, soon to be husband and wife, frog and pig, basically. And, it's quite emotional, because they're about to get married, and, they start singing You Make Me Happy, and all the other Muppets joining in. Yeah. And then, because we then come to the priest, and, the priest, who played the priest again? Let me see. Okay, yeah, so I found him. The minister, and that's how he's credited, and that's the name of, of the character, the minister. I mean, technically, yeah, him being a priest, but anyways, so the minister being played by the late Cyril Jenkins. He's the last cameo and, human cast member in The Muppets Take Manhattan. He's the minister about to, marry Kermit and Piggy. And apparently because Kermit turning to Piggy and, asking, I thought, saying to Piggy, I thought Gonzo was playing the minister. And Piggy just going, she got a real minister. In fact, there was a deleted scene, although, there's no footage of it, I'm pretty sure. Just, maybe one or two photos that were published online, where Gonzo is up there, and, because obviously this has to do with Gonzo originally playing the minister, so... Yeah, but this time it's Cyril Jenkins, as the minister, and, some good singing, and, from Cyril Jenkins, and, asking Piggy and Kermit, do you take each other and such, and, I do, and when he turns to Kermit, he's having a bit difficulty, he's a bit nervous and such, and, the minister saying, do you, and Kermit just, and then all the Muppets just leaning up and just, is he gonna say it, and thus, him singing, I do, and the minister finishing it off, and then, him then finishing off singing, I now pronounce you frog and pig, and because of holding the book, and, all the Muppets cheer, and, they got married! Also, very quickly to mention other cameos, the secretary, to Leonard Winesoap, Respentinus, I mean, if you know what I'm trying to say, that's who she was to Leonard. John Landis's character, that was Francis Bergen. Also, there was the Honorable Edward Koch playing himself at that restaurant, because when Kermit swapped the portrait of Liza Minnelli, that was him, the late Ed Koch. I think I am saying his last name right. Also, some of the other Muppeteers that did additional Muppeteering performance and such, performing the Muppets. There was David Rudman, Marty P. Robinson, and also one of the human Sesame Street cast members apparently had a cameo appearance in Muppets Take Manhattan, I think in the restaurant, in Sardi's. Yeah, Sardi's. That being Sonia Manzano, if I'm saying her last name right, Maria from Sesame Street. Yeah, that's her. I never realized. I'll have to go back and look. Wow, because I mean, probably she's well hidden in the background, obviously. Also, Noel McNeil, he was one of the additional Muppet performers. Yeah, so also, Dennis McKenna was also in the movie too. She was a theater patron. I think she was the mother to the two boys when entering the theater and seeing that 3D movie of the Attack of the Fish. I'm pretty sure. But anyways, also Brian Henson. Brian Henson was one of the other additional Muppet performers, and this might have been his first Muppet film, right, where he became a Muppeteer. Brian Henson. I think so. Well, besides, like, he would get into the Muppet business and getting to work alongside with his dad. Nice to see him, like father and son. And because no doubt about it, how proud Jim was on what his kids were doing, making good careers of themselves. Some of them, doing puppets and such, most notably Brian and the late John Henson in the business of puppetry, and most notably John Henson, because he was doing a lot of like puppeteering performances in, bodied puppet suits, most notably Sweetums and the Coca-Cola Bear. So yeah. Anyways, so getting back to the film, because yeah, so it's official. Kermit and Piggy are married, and Kermit finishing off the film by singing, "What better place could anyone be? Hand to hand with a friend." And yeah, and then because they're on a moon, and we get the end, and yeah, that's a good happy ending right there. And for that being, again, the third and final Muppet film. So yeah, and the end credits really good, and one last rendition of Together Again, and then we hear animals saying bye bye, bye bye, hasta la vista. that was a heck of a way to end it off right there, because that's what you would expect from a Muppet film and from the Muppets themselves, doing something funny and fourth wall breaking and so on. Yeah, and by the way, because the Muppets Take Manhattan, I think, is the only Muppet film where there's no fourth wall breaking at all. I mean, for one thing, because the comedy and the funny stuff is there, but a lot of serious stuff to it, and especially it was by this Muppet film, The Muppets Take Manhattan, where, and especially for Frank Oz, developing Kermit more and so on, and how Kermit is in The Muppets Take Manhattan, if you know what I'm saying. And even Jim Henson himself, he liked this and what Frank was doing for the character of Kermit in The Muppets Take Manhattan. Well, and since, he is the director of Muppets Take Manhattan, so yeah. The Muppets Take Manhattan. Yeah, just what a great and memorable Muppet film this is. The story is really good, the characters and the development of our favorite and beloved Muppet characters, and the human cast, the cameos, and so on, really good. The slapstick, the funny moments, and especially the serious and emotional moments, really good too. And the music, and just, yeah, everything about The Muppets Take Manhattan is really good, and definitely, and I think, and as I've been saying, as I think, one of the, top best films of the 80s, and for it being set in New York. And by the way, one more thing I want to mention very quickly, because it's a funny story, because after The Muppets Take Manhattan came out, a lot of people speculated that Kermit and Piggy actually got married. And yeah, from Kermit, Miss Piggy, and their Muppet performers, Jim Henson and Frank Oz, all of them being questioned and asked about, well, if it's true, Kermit and Piggy are married, and all four of them addressing that it was just an act, it was part of the movie, and so on. Yeah, I thought I'd mention that, because that's pretty funny, because, well, nice to see, because, the Muppets being treated as if they are alive, and technically as though they are. Yeah, just something about the Muppets that, they are in some ways alive and real. It's amazing, and what Jim Henson brought to the Muppets, and just really just the magic and such, and just that in some ways they are alive. It's amazing. But anyways, so yeah, again, like I said, The Muppets Take Manhattan, definitely a memorable and one of the best Muppet films, and one of the best films from the 1980s, and for this film being set in New York, definitely. And I'm giving The Muppets Take Manhattan, well, what the heck, 10 out of 10 stars. Yes, 10 out of 10 stars for The Muppets Take Manhattan. And what about you guys? What did you think of The Muppets Take Manhattan itself? Is it one of your top favorite Muppet films? One of your favorite films that came out in the 1980s? What was your favorite moment in The Muppets Take Manhattan? Your favorite song? Yeah, just overall, what do you think of The Muppets Take Manhattan itself? And hey, was it one of your first Muppet films that you watched? Just, yeah. And with what I've had to say, and with my review, and yeah, what did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review video a like, as always. And so, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of The Muppets Take Manhattan. More review videos are on the way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video / review. And stay tuned later tonight, because the next film I'm going to be reviewing, well, it comes straight from Disney under Touchstone Pictures. And this one film, coming straight from Disney under Touchstone Pictures, it got nominated for Best Picture, and it just so happens to star Robin Williams. Yeah, I'm pretty sure some of you know what it is that I'm talking about. Again, stay tuned for that. Take care, happy anniversary to The Muppets Take Manhattan. Peace out. We'll see you all next time on The Muppet Show. Yay!